Hi, I'm Joan Newcomb, and today's morning musings is family patterns. I'm doing a series of daily morning musings, and I'm using articles from my blog, Adventures in Density and Effort, as inspiration. Now, I wrote these articles a while back, and the world has totally transformed since then. So, as I'm reading, if I come across something that I feel is outdated or I've had some new revelations since then, I will interrupt myself and I will give you the most updated information. And at the end, if need be, I will summarize everything about the topic in relation to what's going on in the world today. And I have some special offers, including a new one, so stay tuned to the very end to see what they are. Family patterns. I was going to call this patterns in the morphic field, but realized family patterns was more on target. Our original patterns come from our families. There are other patterns out in the morphic field, but we only connect and attract ones that match the ones that we carry around within us. There's a pivotal scene in the original Matrix movie where Neo is in a hallway looking at the agents who've shot at him. Suddenly, the bullets stop in midair and drop to the ground. Then everything around him changes to streams of energy. He starts seeing things in patterns. If you view everything energetically, not through physical eyes, that's probably what it looks like. It's helpful to think in terms of patterns because it becomes impersonal, which is what they are. It's like looking at the programming that creates a computer game or CGI animated film. We create being born into families that have a myriad of patterns running. However, we don't see them as patterns, we see them as the way things are. We don't recognize them because it's just an accepted reality. For instance, you could choose a family that was an American, a Democrat, and a Catholic, and you would resonate with the larger fields of American Democrats and Catholics. You could go to another country and relate to the liberals and the Catholics. Though actually, I've since learned that there are some countries that, the word liberal actually means what we would call conservative. There are other prevalent patterns as well. Diseases which can be passed down through families, such as alcoholism or depression, behavioral patterns of abuse. And then you find yourself in a world relating to the larger fields of these patterns. They seem to show up everywhere, but it's really only because they're within you and you're engaging with them in the first place. That feels really uncomfortable to say. I'm not victim blaming or anything like that, but I will say that I've been in a relationship with a coke addict and I've experienced severe depression. I experienced emotional and psychological abuse growing up. And so, of course, I will recognize that in the world, or I will find myself in situations like that because I have those patterns inside. I think it's all a process, though, of evolution and of disintegrating these patterns. And people find this when they go into recovery from addiction, is that when they recover from their original addiction, their reality changes around them because they're not engaging in the old ways. So you can see that in other aspects of your life is once you de-energize a pattern, then suddenly people disappear out of your life and circumstances change. I'm going to keep reading to see if I say that anywhere in this article. We carry our family patterns with us everywhere. We bring them into the workplace, school, and anytime we engage with others. That's why companies and organizations can seem like the biggest dysfunctional families because, in a way, they are. People are playing out all their core patterns, mostly unconsciously, as they go about their jobs. As you grow up, you may grow away from some of your family patterns, but it seems like there are always residues of it within you. Once a Catholic, always a Catholic has more truth than many recovering Catholics would like to admit. You may be living your life as a serene, teetotaling Buddhist, working for an environmentally friendly company and a voting member of the Green Party, but when a wedding or funeral calls you back to Boston with your crazy Irish family, you'll find yourself swilling down the beer and chucking the cans into the trash instead of recycling with the rest of them. Your patterns reemerged when immersed in greater patterns. Your family didn't even have to be there. Boston alone could have held those greater family patterns for you. Another scenario is that you become a serene, teetotaling Buddhist in order to step away from your Boston or Irish origins. But every environmentally friendly company you work for has some hard-drinking boss named O'Leary or Shaughnessy who drives you crazy. How do you get out of this? Well, first you have to recognize the patterns. They're often hard to see because they're so ingrained. You may be in denial that they're still there. Since you've been living an opposite life from your childhood, like the teetotaling Buddhist, your expanded self helps you with this by kindly creating situations that reflect these patterns back to you over and over again. If something isn't working in your life, you keep walking down the same dead-end street in relationships, jobs, and that's a big clue. Patterns seem to have intelligence. They'll talk to you as voices inside your head, but when you shine the light of truth on them, they go silent or change the subject. When you're aligned with your expanded self, you can feel the difference. Patterns are instinctual, consciousness is not. If you feel stuck or uncomfortable, it's a clue you're engaging in a pattern. There are many ways to de-energize them. You can dive into the discomfort and then tell the truth about it, is one way. You can question your thoughts. You can ask, is this true? How do I know this is true? And then you can turn it around to the opposite. There are other techniques like tapping that go beyond the intellect. So they're excellent ways to dissolving patterns that you can't see. Other energy techniques can be like grounding and releasing the energy to the center of the earth where there's a big composting or recycling center. You can be energized or blow up pictures. You imagine you've been viewing the world through old family slides or Super 8 movies and just dissolve them. These are all powerful ways to transform your reality. As you de-energize, reclaim power from your internal patterns, the external ones seem to fade away. Really, it's because there's no longer a magnetic attraction within you. Resistance is also attraction. So what you resist, you magnetically attract to you. You may be able to return to Boston, continuing your daily chanting and drinking green tea. Or you may find you no longer are invited to weddings and funerals, and it doesn't bother you a bit. You can actually stay with the same organization, but everyone seems to respond differently because you no longer have the pattern running within you. Or you move on because you attract a more healthy environment in which to work and play. As you do this, you'll feel lighter, happier, and more joyful. You'll feel compassionate towards people's hardships and not weighed down by them. You'll feel detached from the world's doom and gloom headlines. You can become an even more effective Buddhist environmentalist, if that's what you are, because you'll be coming from an open heart and not reacting to an internal pattern. So try this for the next week. Notice what's a recurring pattern or what is stuck, and try something different. You can use one of the suggestions I just gave, or make up your own, playfully waving your hand out in front of you. You can actually break up energetic patterns. See what starts changing in your life when you do. So there's not really much to summarize here. I think all of these are really great suggestions for changing your life and seeing how patterns create your life. And we do have bigger patterns beyond just the family patterns. There are generational patterns that go back a couple centuries. We don't even know where they originated. So it's really helpful to use playful ways to de-energize these things because you're working beyond your consciousness. And it's all part of the evolution that we're going through in this world today. So a lot of de-energizing is just happening spontaneously anyway, but this is a way for you to help it along. And if you've had experiences with this, please leave a comment below. I'd love to read your comments. And if you want a free sample of one of my consciousness techniques, click on the link below for the Skybox technique. It'll give you a bigger perspective in the world and probably help you see some patterns that you could de-energize. And I also have a brand new special. It's a self-study course called Manifesting Money and Miracles. It's a great foundational course for changing your vibration and enhancing more miracles and money in your life. And if you want to know more, my website is joan-newcomb.com. I do individual sessions where I take a look at the essence of who you are and what's going on in your life today. And I can answer any questions that you have. And the whole session is recorded just for you. And if you want to learn more about how to do this for yourself, I have a coaching special where I work with you one-on-one, and I give you individual consciousness techniques for you to transform your life. So go to my website, joan-newcomb.com, and I'll see you tomorrow for another Morning Musings.